This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to see Apurva today to join us for the call. Yesterday actually was the Earth Day, and so today I think it's a very good timing to have this call. Apurva has an MBA in oil and gas, which is actually quite opposite to what work he's doing right now. And he has also worked with IT consulting companies and started with SankalTaru in 2012. This is an organization that he founded because he realized that there was a lot of need for the damage that has been done with so much of industrialization and so much of unbridled just so-called development that we keep having. And so he started his work in Uttarakhand area. And interestingly, his work right now has spread to 25 states. His organization has planted more than 3 million trees. And also they are into rural development projects and farmers empowerment and so on. And I will let him talk about it. But the most interesting part of his organization is how he's combining technology with the plantation and with restoring the ecosystem. So Apurva, the floor is yours. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Neeraji. It's pleasure to be associated with IDS for last 2 years or more than that, in fact. And excuse me. And then it's pleasure to be here on the Changemaker series as a speaker. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hello, everyone there. It would be nice to interact with you. I have made one presentation. I will share my screen. I already have rights, I believe. Yes. Okay, if I could get the screen sharing rights from the host, that would be great. Could I get the rights, please?
Yeah, I'll give you that. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, are you able to share it now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's here.
Hello, Prasad Garu. How are you? I'm in the meeting, Prasad.
Namaskar,
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Prasad Garu. Sorry, I'm a little late.
No problem.
I'll mute my mic now. I don't want to disturb you.
Yeah, everybody please mute, so that.
So do you still have problems sharing or?
I'm just asking for some preferences at my end. Can you now see my screen? Great. Great. And just go on full screen.
Yeah,
it's visible now? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only one line for me. It's like the top of the thing it shows on.
Okay.
Not full screen.
Is it? For me, it shows full screen.
No, here it is only showing one line.
Okay. How about now?
Recording in progress.
Is it still the same?
Yeah.
please let me know now.
Yes, yes.
It's visible now, the complete screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about it. Excuse me. So the topic which I've chosen to speak about is environmental sustainability and our engagement with IDS. Definitely, we'll talk about how SankalTaru is. What is the challenge ahead? We all know the global warming and climate change are really, really gripping us hard. And yesterday there was Earth Day. So much of even Google had chosen the Google Doodle as the climate change effect. They had the time lapse of glaciers melting. So, of course, it's a crisis hour, and I'll talk about it. How um, what all challenges are around us, and I know there's so many learned, distinguished audience here. So maybe because I had made this presentation keeping in mind that few of the youngsters who might not be aware of climate crisis or global warming challenges might be there. So, I have kept those slides. So I'll skip through that, keeping in mind, audiences already know about the challenge. So, of course, COVID-19 has really, really given us an alarm in terms of, it's a warning. There was a lot of, at one end, there were a lot of devastation, which we have seen, loss of human lives, and businesses came to a halt. But then we saw post lockdown or during lockdown, we saw how nature was healing herself. So basically, this is one warning which had knocked our door, but definitely it's some kind of an opportunity as well. If we start respecting nature, if we start working along in harmony with nature, definitely, things would be better, and we can really meet this crisis situation more comfortably. So this is the photo I've taken. Suppose the one which on the left hand side is from Delhi Yamuna Bank during it's basically pre-COVID times and during COVID times when everything halted, how clean the Yamuna appeared. So I just wanted to portray that, yes, a lot of human movement, industrialization, so many things have really, really impacted the environment badly. So this is something, 15 billion trees are chopped down globally every year. And, I call it ice cream phenomena. So suppose the global consumption of ice cream is about 64 billion USD. So to cool our taste buds, certainly we all love to have desserts or ice cream. But with the 64 billion, in fact, if we take $2 a tree, we could have planted 32 billion trees worldwide. And definitely the virtue of trees is quite known to us. They help us in mitigating global warming, keep the temperature cool. So yes, definitely, if we can sacrifice cooling our taste buds for a year even, we can plant 32 billion trees across the world. Destruction facts, like 80,000 plus acres of forest disappear from the earth every day, which is like, by the end of this talk of 60 minutes, we would have lost about 3,600 football fields worth of forest globally. So that's something at a very alarming rate. We are losing our forest. Yes, I do sensitize a lot of folks here in India, because packaged water is something really, really picking up people who travel to even to Ladakh and Himalayas. There's a trend where, people consume packaged water, Bisleri or all kinds. Though the Himalayan water or fresh streams are there, if we could really consume that instead of consuming packaged water, definitely there could be a lesser footprint. And of course, litter is becoming a large problem in tourist destinations like Ladakh and all. I was in Pangong Lake about 6 months back, and I was really, really distressed to see chips, plastic chip wrapper or plastic bottles floating on the serene Pangong Lake. So the point I'm trying to make is, if we can really, really bring down our consumption, even as simple as a 1 liter PET bottle, we could have saved 5.3 liters of water, because definitely to manufacture that 1 liter of packaged water, it has a footprint of 5.3 liters of water equivalent in terms of manufacturing that PET bottle, or through having that reverse osmosis process, RO, to filter the water. So that way we can really contribute by all these small steps by bringing down our consumption. Then of course CO2 release is a big contributor to global warming, and we are already seeing a lot of glaciers melting. As I mentioned yesterday, Google had shown the timeline of glaciers melting just in 10 years badly. So that way, CO2 release or hydrocarbon fuels which we are using to drive our vehicles are really, really causing global warming and melting of glaciers. And we have seen 20 warmest years on record in last 22 years. In fact, again, giving you an Indian context, March was one of the hottest year in last few decades, which some of the Indian cities have witnessed. Then we are losing species at a very high rate. Not only we are losing flora at a very high rate, but the fauna as well, like some of the species, animals, insects, we are losing. And if it goes by at this rate, almost 1/3 to 1/2 of all species would become extinct by 2050. That's what one of the estimates says. I'll not emphasize much on this, because I'm sure the learned people out here already know how trees help, but some of the unknown facts about trees I would try to just glance through and let you know. So suppose trees can really, really help us in mitigating most of the challenges arising from global warming or climate change. So suppose one tree can cool down the earth equivalent to 2 air conditioners. That's one of the lesser known fact or virtue of trees which are around us. Then air pollution, a mature tree can produce enough oxygen to supply to 10 people for a year. Then species extinction is something. One mature tree is housed to about 2,000 species of insects and all. And it's again very lesser known fact, because we see tree as a structure in front of us, but then there are roots deeper in the ground. There are a lot of insects, fungi, and living organism underneath. It is home to insects and birds as well on the branches, so above ground. So that's something trees really contribute to. Groundwater recharge, again, we have seen this typically here in Uttarakhand and most of the cities. We are depleting our underground water table at a much faster rate, and the recharge is happening at a very slower pace. The reason is we already have, suppose if we talk about cities, we already have concreted structures built, and there is very less place for water to percolate down. So whenever rains are there, so the water washes away, and it doesn't um, contribute to recharge of underground water table. If we look at trees, they act as sponge, and slowly they recharge water. We are doing a lot of plantation of oak with support of IDS. In fact, we have planted a lot of oak trees in Himalayas to rejuvenate water table and rejuvenate springs. I'll speak about that, in the next section. So that's how trees do contribute to the underground water table. This is something, unique, which I emphasize mostly on my talks. So someone might say that, hey, health is the focus area of our nonprofit. So suppose the nonprofits who support us or the corporates who support us sometimes come back saying, hey, health is one of the core area which we want to support. Environmental sustainability may not be the first core cause we may want to support. Sometimes people would say that poverty and hunger is the core cause they want to support. Climate change sometimes takes the backseat. But after COVID, or in last 2-3 years, what we have seen is people have realized that the real cause of poverty, hunger, health related issues, catastrophes is really the climate change. So if we really arrest the problem of climate change upstream, in a way, so I'll just give you an example. Suppose there are hurricanes, there are floods, there are drought, there are wildfires, right? Most of it are because of climate change. Who really gets impacted? It's the poor people or the farmers who get impacted the most because of these natural calamities. So in a way, if we tackle the problem of climate change upstream itself, in a way, we would help, or we would mitigate the risk of these poor people getting impacted. And of course, downstream, all these natural catastrophes have health related issues as well. Suppose air pollution, if we talk about, in a way, if you look at COVID as well, which might have, a lot of research still going on, might have had, its root cause somewhere, the human animal conflict there back in the jungles. So if we really arrest that problem of climate change or the conflict upstream, we might mitigate the health related issues as well. Cleaner environment, purer air might have lesser health issues. So at SankalTaru, what we are trying to do is we are trying to mitigate the risk of climate change at the first place itself, and then trying to mitigate other root causes which lie downstream. How we are doing it, I'll just take it up in next few slides. So how SankalTaru and its technological innovations are planting trees more sustainably. Though Neelaji has already introduced me and the work which we do, I represent a SankalTaru Foundation. We are a nonprofit founded about a decade back in 2012. Dr. Kalam was the person, in fact, who was really fascinated with our idea, and he planted the first tree with us online. We created this platform called sankaltaru.org so that people can plant trees online with us. And post plantation, they receive the email saying, hey, your tree was just planted at so and so place. Here is the photograph of your tree, location details and all. So Dr. Kalam wanted to plant a tree in a remote school in Himalayas in Uttarakhand. and we made it happen. So he was really happy about it, and he inaugurated the SankalTaru.org portal. And this is something, our journey so far. Um, we started our operations in Ladakh, in Thar Desert, as well as Uttarakhand, and then we have diversified to places where it's really difficult to plant trees. So we plant trees in cold desert of Ladakh. We plant trees in drought affected areas of Maharashtra. We are present across, now we do operate in Sundarbans in West Bengal, where Hurricane Amphan had really made a lot of devastation. So there we do work. And slowly and gradually now we have achieved our 3 million trees goal. And in next 5 years, we are going to add more 8 to 10 million trees. So now we have increased the pace of our plantation, and we are planning to grow or go global in next few years. COVID has halted our global expansion, though. So we are planning to expand to Middle East and some of the African countries shortly. And by 2035, we have this vision of planting trees on other planet. We believe that when humans have already started exploring life on other planets, or they're started exploring making habitats on other planets, definitely trees would be needed there too. So that's our very aggressive vision. This is our team, though there are only few members mentioned here. We are about 110 plus team members. We speak all of the regional languages in India. We are quite a diversified team, from Ladakh to Tamil Nadu, or from Jaisalmer, Rajasthan to Arunachal Pradesh. There are so many passionate set of people in our team. The program team is mostly woman-led, and that's how Neelaji, you might be interacting with Simar, Khushbu, and people. So they represent the program management team, and we have folks from all walks of life there. Someone has left their IT jobs. Someone has done agricultural sciences, environmental sciences, social work. They hold masters in social work. So I mean, it's a very diversified team in place. I'll quickly go to the operational model, how we operate. We have this first model called Rural Livelihood Support Based Program, where we plant trees on farmers' field, and we plant fruit-bearing trees so that they generate livelihood through it. There are more than 50 fruit species which we are growing across India, given the virtue of diverse geography of India. It allows us to grow apples in Ladakh, pomegranate in Rajasthan, then guavas in central India. Down south, we grow coconut, mangoes, and others, while in the east, we do avocado and other fruit species varieties. So that's and we have about more than 30,000 farmer beneficiaries enrolled. We give preference to women farmers. And now, in fact, in barren fields in Rajasthan, where nothing used to grow, they're growing pomegranate fruits and earning livelihood through it. Then the second model which we have is Clean and Green School program, where we plant trees in schools. We have interventions like we show them, we demonstrate them science kits, like how photosynthesis work, how water harvesting system work. So we have a lot of interventions so that these kids become environmentally conscious citizens of tomorrow, and they take charge of the environmental conservation much before the crisis arrives. This is Barren Community Land Transformation Program, where we are developing forests on some of the barren lands. Right now, one of the unique programs which we are doing is on Indo-Pak border near Longewala. We are writing 1 kilometer long India in Thar Desert with trees, which will be very much visible through Google imagery. I mean, satellite imagery, Google Maps or NASA satellites could really track that India emerging on desert. And we work with local communities. We plant native species, local native species. More than 15 forests are being grown by SankalTaru now. We have already delivered 15 forests in the past, and they are very natural forests. We do not prefer to do a lot of dense forest or so-called Miyawaki plantations. We do that to a very limited scope. We do plant or develop natural forest which become future wildlife sanctuary. And the one which you are seeing right now aerially in this slide backdrop is on Aravali's near Delhi NCR, where on more than 100 hectares we are growing a forest which would act as a green lung for Delhi, which is really struggling from air pollution. So that's something which we have been doing, and a lot of forests we are growing across India. One is on the seashore of Mahabalipuram in Tamil Nadu, which we are growing in the memory of Dr. Kalam. We have 2 or 3 forests in Maharashtra, and most of the states now we are developing these natural forests. Then the fourth operational model is city plantation programs. We are working across more than 35 cities in India, where we are planting native species and mobilizing city dwellers to plant and protect trees. Our SDG coverage, so social development goals of UN, this is how our coverage looks like. More than 12 SDG goals we are trying to meet. As I mentioned earlier, it's not only about tree plantation with SankalTaru. Our programs are designed in a way that they are not mere tree plantation programs, they go beyond that. So suppose rural livelihood program is catering to no poverty or zero hunger, because people are meeting their nutritional needs as well by consuming fruits grown on trees. We are supporting the cause of education, gender equality, by supporting women farmers. So that way, a lot of SDG goals we are trying to mitigate. So it's basically beyond a typical tree plantation program. It's multidimensional one. And this is something which catches the fancy of people. We have created an online portal where people can come. A lot of corporate employees now come to the website. They plant trees from their home or the offices remotely. This really came handy, or it really picked up during COVID times when travel was restricted. People still wanted to contribute to the environment, and they planted trees online with us. As soon as this tree is planted online, we plant this tree on ground. We geotag this tree with our mobile app, and then upload these trees back, and the email goes to the person who might have planted trees with us, saying, hey, your tree was planted in Ladakh on and so at so and so place. Here is the photograph of your tree. Here's the location in case you may want to visit. So this is really catching up, this idea. We are seeing a lot of contribution coming in remotely. Someone sitting in California on their birthday is planting a tree. In 2 days, they receive an email saying your tree was planted here in India at the selected location, and here is the photograph of the tree. So this is really catching up. People are it's a very transparent way of showing people the growth of their trees, as well as letting them know that actually the tree was planted and it is in the safe hands of farmer beneficiaries. This is how the entire system works. We show the photograph of the tree, location, the beneficiary, people, your tree might have supported. And very recently, in fact, 3 weeks back, we have launched or integrated our tree plantation program with blockchain, so that it's very transparent way of showing our donors and contributors that the tree link which they have received is very unique. We have not tagged the same tree twice or more than once, and this is something very, very unique, and they can check the authenticity or veracity excuse me, of data online. So that's one way of being very transparent and bringing in technology component. This is really, really helping us in scaling, because our donors are seeing a lot of value in our plantation programs, which are quite visible and impactful as well as transparent. In fact, this is how we have created IDS forest. So all those 2,000 trees which were planted in year one are there in this virtual forest. And if you click each and every tree, this is a URL you may want to try later. You can see the trees, each tree location, the beneficiary details, and other things online. So most of the corporates, we work with more than 550, 600 corporates today. We create this kind of virtual forest for them, and the trees planted by their employees are located here. So there is a lot of transparency and visibility engagement in the process. We are quite R&D focused. So we have realized that, yes, if we have to scale our programs, if we have to tackle the problem of climate change in a bigger way, definitely we need to be technology focused and we need to be research focused. So we have this research and development center here in Uttarakhand, which is spread more than 20 acres. And we are working on a lot of technological innovations like solar farming, sustainable architecture, then hydroponics, drone seed bombing, then plant tissue culture propagation, integrated farming methods, IoT. These are some of the areas which we are trying to research on, and everything which comes out of this research center, the outcomes which are there from this research center would be used for the betterment or benefit of farmers. That's the vision we have. So this is what we have done. We have developed this application where we do survey and mapping of large plantation sites using drones. So the India project, which I was talking about, you can see on the right hand side of the slide, and all coordinates were mapped by drone here on GPS, and that's how, because it's a very large area, it's more than 12 to 15 hectares. It was very easy to map each and every corner of this plantation block using drones. We are using drones for seed bombing as well. I'm glad to announce that IDS has come forward to support this program. This year we'll be spreading about 50,000 seeds to drone with support from IDS. And this drone seed bombing we use at inaccessible places, high altitudes in Himalayas, where it's not possible to plant trees. So it's really scaling up our program. We are using IoT devices to really sense temperature and moisture levels underground, so that we are minimizing the usage of water. And because water remains really scarce in places like Rajasthan, and also we are bringing down the consumption of water using technology or Internet of Things, IoT. We have rainwater harvesting structures, and we power irrigation system through solar. So which is like very sustainable way of planting trees. As I mentioned earlier, uh, if we have to really tackle the larger problem of climate change, we need to do it very sustainably. So we have today, as we speak, more than 100 kilowatt of solar farms SankalTaru has installed in its various plantation sites, which pump water or irrigation system is powered by, and which is used to irrigate these trees planted by us. I'm very glad to announce the launch of our mobile application, which was launched uh, today, and the mobile app is Healthy Us and Greening Environment. So any of you who's interested to try this, you may want to. It's as simple as whatever steps you walk throughout your day, you earn green rewards for it, and you can donate these green points or rewards for planting trees. It's a fitness app, and the outcome is like, the contribution goes towards planting trees. So I mean, it's a very auspicious day that I'm here on this Changemaker series and announcing the launch of our application. So you may want to take charge of your health and environment together. If you wish to promote and let excuse me, others know about the app, please feel free to do that. This is some impact we have created so far, though now we have reached 3 million trees target. So this slide shows little outdated numbers though. And as the core principle of SankalTaru goes, like, we not only create environmental impact, but we create socio-economic impact as well. I'm very glad that through IDS, most of the programs which we are running, not only we are creating environmental impact, but we are supporting the livelihood of women beneficiaries. We are supporting the excuse me, the livelihood is one, then the other causes as well are getting supported, like meeting their nutritional needs. We are doing a lot of medicinal plantation through IDS, so that's something. Socioeconomic benefits as well are coming. Quickly, I'll just go through the engagement which we have with IDS. It's like excuse me, we have started off our engagement with IDS 2 years back, and we have planted 2,000 trees, as well as we have done cultivation of rosemary, which is a medicinal herb. Most of the hilly areas are now affected by monkeys and borers. So while we do plantation of these medicinal or aromatic plants, it really helps us in keeping away monkeys and these borers. So that's one brighter side of it. Thanks to IDS for supporting this uniquely designed program. The name is Health. That's how the abbreviation goes: Himalayan Ecosystem and Livelihood through Herbiculture. So we are doing a lot of herb-related plantation, herb-based plantation through support from IDS. This is something. Other than that, we are doing a lot of tree plantation activities as well. Fruit-bearing trees, as well as medicinal trees, are being planted, and that's the growth is really commendable. And thanks to, again, support from IDS, we look forward to planting many more trees this year too, and the year to come, and make a difference to the lives of folks out there. During the sudden lockdown, we were supported by IDS to run a very unique campaign called One Tree, One Meal. So for every tree which we planted, a meal was served to the affected people. Most of the migrant workers who were impacted or got stuck in Rajasthan got supported to this program. We did plantation in Karnataka, and the meal was served in Rajasthan. So one tree was supporting one meal in a way, and it was a very unique program which was done. Here are some of the pictures from the ground. It was so hot during April there in Rajasthan. It was, I mean, the plight of people was really, really, heart melting. So thanks to the support, which finally trickled down to the beneficiaries, we distributed masks as well to the people. This is something, I spoke about the meal part. This is how the trees were planted. It was done in Karnataka. And yes, I thanks everyone for being here, being so supportive to manage and support manage and execute our programs for last 2 years. We look forward to your support, and definitely, if you are willing to support us further, I will request that you may want to support some of the R&D activities of our research and development activities, which we are doing in our research center, because we are planning to launch a fellow program so that fellows can come try different creative ideas and come up with solutions to mitigate the risk of climate change and help the farmers also. So that's one area. Second area could be, we have launched a program called Gramyam. It's a farmer support program where we are developing market linkage for farmers, marketing their fruit produce or farm produce directly with minimal supply chain interventions. So we look forward to your support in these two areas, and of course we look forward to support towards our regular plantation campaigns. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Apurva. This was very nice. I actually had spoken to Simar about this drone seed bombing, and I had asked her about, what is the survival rate of these seed bombs? Because once you plant there and it is hard to really reach physically these areas, how do you make that the trees survive?
Yes, there are two approaches, or couple of interventions which we have to ensure that these seed bombs survive. One is, we do go ahead with the areas which have higher rainfall. So we do these seed bombing at high altitude areas of Himalayas, Uttarakhand. So where generally we have good rainfall. That's one thing. Second is, we plant native species, mix of native species, so that they grow. They do not cause any harm to the existing vegetation, because you might have heard in Rajasthan there was a lot of aerial seed bombing of babool in 70s, which has now really impacted the vegetation out there. It's very invasive. So we do plant we are very selective in choosing the native species. That's the second thing. And the third is, we treat this seed with cow dung, soil, and other organic treating agents, so that the germination rate is higher. And of course, we work very closely with communities and forest department, so that there's not much impact on the seeds which are bombed. So I mean, cattle grazing and other things don't happen. These are very secluded places, rocky terrains and all things. And we do have plans to monitor the seedlings post plantation, again through drone, because as I said, those are inaccessible, so we'll have to do drone based surveys again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, anybody has questions, please go ahead. Prashant?
I have a question. Where do you get all your saplings?
So we have gone ahead with a couple of approaches there. One is having community-based nurseries, which are which are managed or grown by local communities. So we have, support farmer groups who manage these nurseries. That's one. Second is for fruit bearing ones, and the community based nurseries are predominantly for forestry varieties. For fruit bearing ones, we work closely with the agricultural institute or scientific organizations. We do procure from them. We have nationally accredited nurseries, like National Horticulture Board accredited nurseries, which supply. And then third one is, of course, at our research center, we are doing a lot of plant propagation so that the quality of saplings is really, really ensured. That's how we go about it, these three sources.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. It was really, really nice and enlightening. I have a question. I just came back from India and I was visiting Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. Sorry, I was in Himachal Pradesh. So I have two questions and I don't know if it's related, but I just want to understand what the role of the government is in deforestation and what they are doing in promoting trees, especially in connection with you. And second, when I see businesses, these big businesses that are deforesting most of our mountains for their needs, like cement companies, especially in Himachal, what role do they play and how are we making them responsible for the deforestation?
Right. So, I mean, if you really look at the pace of deforestation, it's alarming. I would not deny the fact that everything is well, and I presented it towards the start of my presentation as well. The development has really devastated natural habitats or forests. So for highways and suppose if we talk about this mega project in Uttarakhand, which is going on towards widening roads, a lot of trees have been chopped down, and not only the construction is rampant and being done in a way that it's affecting the natural forest. What's happening, there's a problem with the way the construction happens. So suppose for widening of roads, you clear off the trees uphill, but then debris is really rolled down towards the other part of the road, which devastates the vegetation in a way. So I believe there are two things. One is greed for industrialization or development. The second thing is non-scientific way of construction. It's not sustainable at all. So at SankalTaru, I would say, we have not been able to do a lot of advocacy towards it because, I mean, certainly government's priority takes the front seat and they want to do development at a much faster rate. But what we try to do is sensitize corporates that, their construction should be very much sustainable. It should be done in harmony with nature. And of course, if they have this footprint, which is, basically towards destruction, it should be mitigated by planting many more trees. So that's our smaller bit. I won't say, we have been able to really sensitize them a lot, because as I said, the priority right now seems to be much of development and less of sustainable development. So that's how we go about it. But yes, we are doing our bit to sensitize them. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you. It's just that we need a lot more people advocating for environment, and it's just it is dismissal to see how the devastation that's taken place in Himachal.
Yes, and of course we'll have to increase the speed of reforestation or afforestation in a way, and that's why we are now deploying drones, using technology to increase that speed. If unfortunately industries or governments are increasing the speed of development, and the increase of deforestation is upwards, we at SankalTaru are trying to use technology to increase the speed of reforestation and afforestation, I would say. That's how we are trying to mitigate.
So
Apurva,
this-
Thank you. Thank you.
there is a question from Sriram. Says, curious to know who are some of, he says, wonderful work. Curious to know who are some of your partners in your work and how do you work with them?
So if I talk about corporate partners, more than 600 corporate partners are working with us. And most of the large companies who have significant carbon footprint are working. There are oil and gas, manufacturing companies, there are mining companies and all. And I believe, it in a way answers my previous reply as well, or the question I was asked, that we are trying to sensitize a lot of corporates to increase the the speed of plantation. So we work with a lot of corporates, 600 corporates we work with, large ID companies like IBM, Infosys, TCS, Cognizant. They are all supporting us. We have a lot of technology collaborations as well with them. So it's basically that's a corporate tie-ups we have. Like, we are also supported by philanthropic organizations like IDS, Give India, CAF. They all are supporting us, and we are also supported by a lot of individuals. Individuals have really come forward to support us because of our online portal, transparency, visibility, and the impact which we create. So in nutshell, I'll say SankalTaru is a platform which is like by the people for the people. So so that way a lot of support is coming by the people for the people on the ground.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is-
Hi, this is Prashant. How are you? It is great presentation. I think one of the things I learned is the impact of tree and environment and everywhere, because a lot of times you just think tree as its normal thing, but impact on health and everything, that's an interesting aspect that you brought up. I think that's really touching in some ways for us. Another thing you said about advocacy is also very important, because I think running a race with the corporate is never going to be winning, right? Because deforestation is in our industry is going to be the #1 priority. People has going to be priority. So doing a sustainable thing and advocacy there is probably the, I think, very key item that you brought up. And I think we probably all need to do a lot more work there too.
Yeah.
But one of the things I have a personal question more like that is for you. You work in like Nilaban said, completely different industry and motivated to go this route. And what motivated you? Just that just totally different aspect, right? Of life. Just
Yes. So actually, yes, I kept my introduction quite short. So I was born and raised in Himalayas, in a very humble town near Badrinath in Uttarakhand Himalayas, and I've seen the treasure of nature, in a very large way: mountains, snow, rivers, lakes, forests, waterfalls, butterflies, and clouds, and so on and so forth. So I was always attached to nature. Surely my my aspiration to chase corporate jobs, shape up my career, chase the Western dream led to places. But then I realized that there is a big crisis in front of us. And if we have to really serve nature, we need to leverage technology. Since I was very passionate about technology, implementing it for the cause, getting connected back to the roots. That really led me in this direction, and I decided to come back, quit my job. And of course, my previous job, role in oil and gas also motivated me to be on the other side of the industry and wash off some of the sins. So that's how it was.
Yeah. There is one other question from Hemendra and Chandrika Mehta. What is the current ratio of deforestation versus reforestation in India? And just to kind of take that question further, I think recently there was some report from Indian government that the forest cover has increased now in India, and then there was some doubt about that statistic. So maybe you want to talk about that a little.
Yeah, so yes, so as per the stats, I believe the forest cover in last decade, as per one research, has come down significantly. I believe it's about 1.8% or 2% or so, but the government report says it has increased by 1%. It stays somewhere around 24%, if I'm not wrong, 23 or 24%. Now the thing is, of course, I may not have the very exact figure because of the contradiction which always lies in terms of research reports and government claims, because government claims that it's going up, and environmentalists challenge why it's going up, because you are changing the methodology of how forests are calculated. You are adding up open land areas. You're also adding up orchards or crop fields to that green cover, because government says green cover, right? It doesn't say forest and all. It says green cover is increasing. So there is always a contradiction. So that's one way of me answering it. Definitely. So if you ask me as an environmentalist, I would say it's negative. It's coming down. The way development work is going on. Excuse me. And it really calls for participation from NGOs. From I mean, not only SankalTaru, but we'll have a lot of NGOs will have to contribute, especially when we have barren lands lying. So, and that's where SankalTaru and other NGOs are making a difference by planting trees in these barren lands. So if you happen to be in India and you take flight, and if you really see less vegetation in tracts and across states, certainly there is a potential to make a difference. So that's what the approach at SankalTaru have taken. We do not want to get into conflict with industries or government saying no, you do not construct road here and all, because if government has decided, they will anyways will develop a road there or construct a road there. What at SankalTaru we are doing is we have identified now large tracts of barren lands, which we are trying to transform in a very sustainable way, because it's not possible to transform the entire barren lands exponentially, because it will have its own repercussions as well, putting a lot of stress on underground water table, because for planting trees and irrigating it, you need water. So we are finding very sustainable ways of expanding greenery. So that's what my answer is.
Okay. That's very helpful. There is one more, one last, somebody has a question. One is, can you please rename your app? What is the app?
So it's huge, Healthy Us and Greening Environment, HUGE. It's available on Apple Store. It's available on Android, Google Play as well. Android-based app is available on Google Play. It's called Huge, SankalTaru Huge, HUGE.
Yeah, this is Samandra. I think I just downloaded the application, but it didn't come up as huge. It came up as SankalTaru space huge. Then I could download it from on iPhone.
Okay.
And it is working good. And it is asking for a reference code. So I just skipped that step.
Yeah, you can skip the referral code. It's more of sharing or socializing, which we have to. So in case you are successful to install it, you may want to suggest anyone and share the referral code with them.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have in the US something called Charity Miles.
Okay.
And they have similar app where as you exercise, you can designate a charity of your choice.
Yeah.
To whom the miles will go, and I think that app is supported by all those organizations that the corporations that are advertising there.
Yeah. So I mean, not only we have this step challenge, but we have other aspects as well in this application. Like you can plant trees online. You can offset your carbon footprint through your travel or whatever digital footprint you might have. Like you have 15 GB of your mailbox. You may want to mitigate it permanently. You can do that by planting trees. It's basically engaging people in different ways. You can make teams, groups internally, and take a pledge, like if we hit 1 lakh trees milestone, we will plant these many trees, and you keep on getting notification to achieve the goal. So we have made it very engaging, and we are working a lot in refining it further. So thank you so much for trying it upfront.
Thank you, Apurva. It was very nice to hear. And hopefully we'll be in touch. Yeah, thank you. Sriram has some question. This is the last question. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, sorry, not a question, but I was going to add to Apurva's point about afforestation versus deforestation. Somebody was asking, and Indian government claims we have more trees planted. So I just wanted to add one angle, which Apurva, if you don't mind, it'll add to your top point, which is that under the guise of development, we are also chopping a lot of trees. So the mistake government is doing is they're thinking we'll chop 100 trees and plant 100 trees. It's not like for like. The trees will take average 7 to 10 years before they can reach a maturity to mitigate the same amount of carbon. So the approach saying development, I need to cut trees, but that's okay, I'll plant trees later, is wrong. So which is why even though we claim to have afforestation, that numbers are wrong because carbon actually is higher.
Exactly. And it's not only the carbon sequestration rate which gets affected. As I mentioned, a tree is home to so many insects and
ecosystem.
Ecosystem, right? So ecosystem services, calculations. It's uncountable that way. The kind of benefits trees provide us, that's uncountable. And definitely, yes, it's a big loss in short term as well as long term if we chop down any tree for development.
Sorry, I jumped in to add that point. Thank you, man. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the participants, and